Hello, I see one person's here. So for the two people that are here, hi. For the two people that are here, oh hi. This is Nanners, by the way. He's my buddy. My mom made him for me when I was like 12. So I'm happy that people are interested. Three people, hi. So this is a series that I made that I'm going to be making where I'm just going to be, I guess, just kind of talking my own words, unless I look up some research and stuff like that. But, you know, it's about autism. Hi, Star, Ice Fox. The series is about autism. You guys probably have the basis of what autism is, right? Like you see like Sheldon Cooper and like The Good Doctor and like um, stuff like that. Oh, Allie the Shipper, you have it. Cool. That's I'm really happy to see someone. I'm really happy to see and Star of Ice Fox. I'm really happy to see people here who actually have autism. And hi, Connor Universe. So, oh, four people. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna stop saying that more people are watching. I'm just gonna keep talking. So basically, autism. Hi. I might not say hello to everyone in the chat who says hello just because I might get distracted with talking. But yeah. So autism is different for everyone, and a good example of what a good example. It's just like right there. Sorry, I get distracted. So basically, a good example of what an explanation for autism was on Sesame Street with a character. Her name is Julia, and she is a 4-year-old with autism. She's a puppet. She's not like a human, but she is a 4-year-old with autism. And when Big Bird asked, "What's autism?" to a character named Alan, he said, "Well, for Julia," and told him because it's different for everyone. They say when you meet a person with autism, you've met one person with autism. It's not like you meet one person with autism, you've met them all. Because we're all different. Of course, there might be people who are similar, but we're all different. I actually do have autism. I have what is known as Asperger syndrome or autism spectrum disorder, but I just like to say Asperger syndrome because that's what I knew it as when I found out I had it, or when I found out that I might have it, and then I found out that I definitely have it. So for me, uh, let's just look at the definition of autism first. Let's look at the dictionary definition. So, oh, you have Asperger's syndrome as well, so you might relate to some of this stuff. All right, let's look up define autism. Autism is this is from the Google dictionary. Uh, a developmental disorder of variable severity that is characterized by difficulty in social interaction and communication and by restricted or repetitive patterns of thought and behavior. Now, some of this might be like stimming, or like I used to do this thing. I still kind of do it where I would like take my phone for example. I might be like might be on the table and I'd be like repeatedly tapping because it just makes me feel calm. Or I'd be walking down a hallway and I'd have to tap on something. And now I want to look at the definition of Asperger's syndrome because it's a spectrum. Autism spectrum disorder. Autism is a spectrum. I've met people who I've seen people who I wouldn't never guess had autism, and I met people who I didn't get along with very well because the way our autism affected us kind of made us very, very different. And it's not a bad thing, people just sometimes don't get along. Um, so Asperger's syndrome is a developmental disorder related to autism. It's a type of autism. Come on, and characterized by higher than average intellectual ability, coupled with impaired social skills and restrictive, repetitive patterns of interest and activities. Now, I know I say higher than average intellectual activity, but I'm not like beautiful mind genius guy. Like I'm not like Sheldon Cooper. I know people see Sheldon Cooper and they say, "Oh yeah, he's got to have autism," but actually, it isn't confirmed that he has it. They've said that his behavior is actually unique to him. So, but of course, I do relate to some parts of him. So I do theorize that he has it. Um, but because he's not diagnosed, but so you can't really know unless you're diagnosed. But basically, I someone with autism may be hyper interested in something. Like they could talk about it for hours. Like for me, it's religion. I'm an atheist, but I really enjoy talking about religion and like researching it and stuff like that. And I can talk about religion and paganism, which I find really interesting, and mental disorders. Like I can talk about schizophrenia and sleep paralysis uh, and like stuff like that. Just I find so fascinating, and like world issues, and like I could talk about toxic feminism for so long because I find it so interesting and kind of funny sometimes because it's ridiculous. Like, oh, Tumblr can be. And the biggest one these days is Queen. And you guys have probably seen that on my channel if you subscribe. Uh, I'm just gonna pause here. No, I'm gonna finish my thought. I can talk. You could ask my friend Silver Mage. She's a YouTube channel that is my best friend in the whole wide world. I love you, Silver. I'm gonna call you Bob. Anyway, I love you. You're great. She could tell you that talk about I talk about Queen all the time. Like Brian May and the rest of them are my heroes. So I am hyper focused on them. I talk about them to my mom all the time. Or when I might have obsessions that are very like they're quick and they go as soon as they come. Like SpongeBob. I got obsessed with SpongeBob when I was in high school because of SpongeBob the musical. And I still like the musical. And I'm not saying that just because something is a phase doesn't mean it doesn't matter because it was a big inspiration. SpongeBob was a big inspiration for me for my artwork and stuff like that. And so was One Direction. Of course, people who aren't autistic can be obsessed with things as well, of course. But like I've had friends who are obsessed with like shows that I'm also obsessed with, but they need a break from talking about it sometimes, and I can just go on and on and on talking about it. It's like it's yeah, it can be frustrating uh because sometimes I don't know what else to talk about when I'm done talking about it because I'm like what to talk about that can actually make a back and forth conversation because I'll talk about it and my friend won't be super interested in the topic, but they'll be talking to me. And but of course, some of them are interested. Most of them seem to be interested. So, some Star Icefox says, "I have two friends that don't get along because their autism clashes," and that's totally fine. Like, you know, I had a friend and we didn't get along. I met him at a campground, and we were good friends for a while. But I think his autism might have kept him from maturing in the same way I did. And I'm not saying like, guys, so mature. Oh, I'm so much more mature than someone else. Basically, like my mom did say he's about the same now as he was then, and he'd be like 17 or 18 or 19 now. I can't remember how old he was, but like we just didn't get along and we were friends for a while and he wanted to play with his Legos and his teddies and I wanted to talk about other stuff and like not watch Gravity Falls all the time and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with like he had a very big interest in Legos and he loved to play with them. And I'm like, that's cool because that's what he likes to do. And I would play with them with him and we would have fun until like, eventually we just grew apart and I decided I didn't want to be friends anymore. But you know, I think part of that had to do with our autism, but he actually was a big part of my journey in autism because he actually showed me an episode of Arthur that was special to him because it actually talked about somebody with autism, Asperger's syndrome actually. It's there's an episode where it's called When Carl Met George, and it's about it's the guys meet the characters meet someone who has Asperger's syndrome, and he tells me my friend plays only Mario games, and that's totally cool. Like, first of all, Mario's fun. I like it too. I'm not obsessed with it, but they're fun because I like platformers. But yeah, um, but like he told me that it's special to him because he has Asperger's syndrome, and I was like, oh, cool. And I told my mom later that day, hey, I'm not going to say his name. I'm gonna call him Michael. Hey, Michael actually told me that apparently he has Asperger's syndrome, which is autism. Did you know that? Or something like that. And she said, actually, we think you might too. And I was like, oh, okay. And it didn't really affect me. I didn't really care too much. I was actually, when I was younger, I was like, oh my gosh, this is cool. I have this special thing about me. um, and it was pretty cool. And I I wouldn't get rid of my autism. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I would, like, if I had the chance to cure it, and I know there's no cure. I was born with it. I wasn't vaccinated and got autism. But if there was a cure for autism, I would not take it for anything. I would not take it because without it, I wouldn't be who I am. Like, I might change completely. I'm like, if I didn't have autism, I would not be Morty. I wouldn't. I mean, I'd be Morty, but I wouldn't be Morty. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be I wouldn't be the Madeline that I grew up as. My name's Madeline, by the way. But I go by Morty on my YouTube channel and with my friends. But like, yeah, I would be different. I wouldn't be the same person, and I don't want to be. I don't want to know what kind of person I'd be without it because it's been hard, but it's also helped me. And I want to make these videos to help someone other people who may have autism and feel alone or don't understand autism and want to understand. And I'm being more concise. Hi, Kenny. My friend Kenny just got in the chat. Um, and like I've been able to become more calm than I usually am in my live streams, and I've been able to get my thoughts out better, which is actually something that is kind of hard for me. With oh, Kenny also is an autist. I like that. I could go to England and someone could call me autistic, and I would say, "Oh, thank you. I love art. I love art." Oh man, I didn't know people actually called themselves autists. Autist. I mean, like, I knew people with Asperger's syndrome called themselves Aspies. Um, I know it just sounds like sounds mean. I like it though. Autist. I'm an autist because I'm an artist and I'm an autist. Star Icebox says autism is special to me, but I got seriously bullied because of it. Got so bad I got sick all the time at the thought of school. And that's a good point because so was I. I was viciously bullied in school. I think my autism it made me act different, like weirder and different than the other kids. Like kids are weird, but like always felt so different, and I was bullied. And I'm not going to talk about it here. I'm going to save that for another live stream. We're going to talk about that in a different one. Maybe not the next one, but eventually. Tune in. I mean, stay tuned. And uh, um, I guess that's all I have for right now. I don't really know what else to say, and I don't want to make these too long. I want to make them watchable. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye. I don't know if it's yeah.